Hello, this is Isaac. Unfortunately, we ran into a few hardware issues with the audio recording devices. As long as you don't mind a little bit of fluctuation in the volume and some background noise, it should be a great episode. This problem will be fixed in the future. Enjoy!
Hello, this is Dream Job Dialogue. You can find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Think Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If your cup of tea is YouTube, shoot, we'll be there too. As a disclaimer, the people who will make appearances are not your average Joe Schmo when it comes to their industry. These people are passionate, vibrant, and have incredibly brilliant stories. Most of the individuals I've had the pleasure of meeting prior to this podcast, thus knowing they passed my threshold when it came to being passionate about what they do. Without further ado, I'm here with Matt Oberer. Nowadays, when I think of photography, I think of Matt Oberer. His particular background paved the way for him to become one of the best architectural photographers I have ever met. His enthusiasm, mentorship, and passion for photography are infectious, and his drive is motivating, and his vision makes those around him feel like anything is possible. Nowadays, you can find Matt traveling the country, taking pictures of puppy training centers or your local community hotspot. His background as a professional architect gave him the edge. And from one human to another, I am beyond blessed to have someone like Matt in my corner. Speaking of puppy training centers, how was that?
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I was surrounded by puppies the entire day, about 70 of these little guys. And that was definitely a highlight.
Like, speaking of a dream job, you got to be able to travel and then just get smothered by puppies all day long.
Yep. I was in Florida, which is a beautiful backdrop. Mm-hmm. And I actually had to work between puppy sessions, but it was a small price to pay.
And they hired you to go just do a bunch of architectural photography, correct?
That's right. So I was working for the architect who designed the facility, and I was there to kind of show off what the function of the facility is, mm-hmm. from breeding them to raising them to training them into seeing eye dogs and guide dogs.
When can we see pictures of that?
Soon.
Okay.
Soon. I've shared them with the client, but they haven't gone live just yet.
Okay. And would you call yourself an architectural photographer, or do you think you have many more titles than that?
That's the one I identify the most with, just because my background is as an architect. Mm-hmm. But and I do try to tell the story of different spaces, different mm-hmm. architectural spaces through that. Mm-hmm. So I do resonate with that title.
I'd call you an entrepreneur too. Big
That's
time.
fair.
Yeah.
I am wired that way.
On a day-to-day basis or on a week basis, what do you think your life kind of looks like?
One of the fun things about what I do is that every week is different. Mm-hmm. Different assignments, different focus points. I probably only spend maybe 30% of my time behind the camera, and the rest is either processing photos or prospecting new work, thinking of different ideas and things that I can push my business towards. And then, of course, personally, too, I'm able to spend a lot of time with my family and enjoy my life along the way, too, mm-hmm. which is really, really valuable.
Yeah. How did you create this line of work?
I did. I knew that it was out there, and I had 20 years in the architectural field as a licensed architect and a construction administrator for a big firm. And along the way, I picked up a camera, and just because I enjoyed it. And then, as you mentioned, entrepreneur, I kind of got going with that and mm-hmm. figured out a way to make this into a business. Mm-hmm. And people started wanting to have me be paid to take their photos for them. Mm-hmm. And so kind of a light bulb went off, and I said, "Oh, well, maybe
I can probably do this.
Maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do this for a living." Mm-hmm. And which took time and a lot of thought on my part. And eventually, I came to a point in my life, and I was kind of like, what does the next 20 or 30 years look like? And this kept coming to mind. It was forefront. And so I leapt. So I leapt from my stable, comfortable job mm-hmm. and figured out how to make the business work from a numbers standpoint and jumped into it.
What was that transition like?
The transition was difficult at first because I have everybody telling me, why would you leave your job? You were an architect. You were an associate at a very respectable firm, one of the biggest firms in Albuquerque, and why would you leave that? And I couldn't totally explain it other than to say that it felt right. It felt like the right move for me and scared the hell out of me, honestly. Mm-hmm. just because I have a family to feed, and that's a big leap to do that with the insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
But believing in myself was key, and so I kind of just did it. So I wrapped things down with the firm over the course of a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
They understood, and they're still supportive. They've remained as a really good client of mine.
That's cool.
I photographed 2 projects for them this week, and they're my family.
Mm-hmm.
This was a firm I was at for 15 years, so they became my family. They knew my kids. They were always there for me and believed in me. And then when I decided to make the leap, then they supported me. They didn't want to see me go, just because I had a lot of things going on for them, and they valued my contributions there. But it was time, and it felt like the right move. So I took the jump, and I haven't looked back.
So you can kind of say that you graduated from college, you took your architectural degree, you did something with that, and you still found the confidence to pivot.
Yeah.
Are you happy you made that pivot?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have zero regrets about the field that I was in and my contributions to that, and the things that I did along the way make me who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't do what I'm doing now necessarily without that training in business and like the school of hard knocks as far as that business is concerned, because it's a very hard business.
Yeah.
But I'm using a lot of the skills that I developed there, just in a different way now.
What would you describe an architectural photographer is?
So it's a person that can kind of see the architect's vision of a building, the way they visualize it. Not everybody can see in 3 dimensions. A lot of people, or people can see in 3 dimensions, but not necessarily 2 dimensions. So when an architect is describing how they want the building to look by showing them plans, it's not necessarily a representation of what it's going to look like in real life. So I would say my job as an architectural photographer is to show the buildings, show the way they live, show the way they breathe, show the way they function through my photographs and my videos. So I kind of take the artistic vision and show it to the people that may not directly see that building.
You have a degree, but do you think if you were to teach somebody else, do you think you would also encourage them to get the degree as well and be able to have that kind of input before taking on the photographer role?
That's a really good question. I think it kind of depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
I think the training that I got through architecture school is really valuable as far as light and as far as perspectives and as far as just the business in general. It's really important for those things, but for the right person, they could learn that on the job.
Mm-hmm.
And,
as like an apprenticeship or something like that.
Yeah. And I never went to school for photography. I learned that all on my own. I like to say that I went to the College of YouTube and learned it there.
Yeah.
Between YouTube and trial and error, that's kind of how I learned photography. I picked up a camera and made all the mistakes, and watched different YouTube videos about how to do different things, or if there's a skill that I'd like to have, then I'll just kind of run down that rabbit hole. I get a little obsessive with that sometimes.
Yeah.
But maybe that's a good thing.
Do you find yourself criticizing a bunch of YouTubers that have their own instructions of how to do things?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
You're like, wow, you should have just said it like this and things would have happened so much better.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's true.
Yeah.
But they would do the same for me.
Yeah, of course. Everybody's got their own, especially with art, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's
Art's so
very
subjective.
subjective. Do you think you would encourage somebody else to do it, follow in your footsteps?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you put together your own training course, or would you take any apprentices?
Yeah.
Actually, let's talk about the apprentice that you do have.
Sure.
Yeah, Ethan.
Sure. Yeah, Ethan is a special guy. He is my nephew, but he has a passion for this, a lot like mine, and he jumps in with both feet and wants to figure things out. So he's been with me. He's been working with me for a little over a year, and he's come a long way. He's eager to learn. He's just got that personality to where he can learn things and absorb things, and even when we're not together, he's studying and thinking about it.
Yeah.
So he started out kind of keeping lights on and going in and arranging furniture and opening up doors and just kind of tasks that I need that allow me to be more creative because I'm behind the camera instead of doing organizational tasks. So he's taken that and he's totally run with it, and he's gotten very good with the drone.
Yeah.
And so he'll kind of stand in for that for me occasionally.
Does that mean you can call him into a site? So the timeline is, how long ago was Ethan on your crew? Like first initial start?
He started last year, I think.
Oh, not that long ago.
Yeah, at the beginning of summer is when I offered him a position and started paying him.
Okay.
He went out to a few just because he was interested in it.
Oh, and for those that don't, obviously nobody probably knows Ethan, but they probably will. Like if Ethan ever makes a company, I met him, by the way, backstory. I met him, and if he ever makes a company, I'm immediately hitting the invest button because I also think that he's incredibly brilliant and very bright. But
you and me both.
You got him on your team about a year and a half ago, and in that matter of time, now he's already stepping in by himself onto drone projects?
He does some of that on his own.
Okay.
Yeah, not necessarily through my company, but he gets leads through his own through his own merits. And
that's crazy.
People reach out to him through Instagram.
Let's say how old he is.
He's 14.
He's 14. That's wild.
Yep. He's kind of amazing, and he's a very motivated young person. And I'll press that invest button too.
Okay.
Hard. So it's fun to watch him grow.
Would you take any other apprentices?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would. I think collaboration and mentorship is important. And I think I've got skills that can be taught, and I learn just as much from them. Ethan teaches me things all the time. He's very involved at Explora, at X Studio, and which is, for those that don't know, is kind of a maker space. It's an offshoot of the Explora Science Museum, and he's jumped into that, and they value him over there so much. He's teaching people. He's even teaching the instructors some things too. So he's eager to learn, and he's a sponge.
I was so grateful when you guys gave me a tour of that place. I had no idea that it was so deep. Like I didn't know how deep it actually went, that rabbit hole was. And they make everything in-house. All of their science projects that the public can come and play with eventually once it's published and out into their museum. And it was crazy to see Ethan's eyes just light up, and he's like, "This is what this does." I didn't know what a mill or a lathe or a CNC machine was at his age, and he's like, "I could probably put that together this way," and I was absolutely amazed. But side tangent, Ethan's great. As a architectural photographer, do you think you've had any influence in your life that has specifically played into your career? This could be philosophical, they could be alive, dead, fiction, nonfiction.
It's a good question. I've had some business mentors that have taught me a lot along the way. One of my bosses at FBT Architects, when I was there, encouraged me to pick up a camera, and encouraged me to go out and try it for myself, and he was pretty instrumental in just doing and pushing the things that I wanted to do, more so than just the day-to-day requirements of the job, but to be creative and to keep exploring. And I've been very fortunate to have a lot of mentors along the way that I wouldn't be where I'm at now without them. I've had a lot of influences just from different entrepreneurs. I mean, my parents are great influences. My dad's a strong businessman, and he taught me the ways of initiative and how to be a hard worker and to not relent. And there's been some entrepreneurial influences too that have just said, do it. What's holding you back?
Any names?
Charles Ashley is one of them. He's the creative of Cultivating Coders.
Okay.
And he was, when I first started pitching the idea of going out on my own, he didn't even pause. He just said, do it. He said, you've got what it takes, just go. And it took me a couple of years for me to believe that too. So I had to stew on that I would keep throwing things back at him, and he's, he was very supportive, and he still is.
What kind of advice do you think he gave you?
One is be brave and bold,
Mm-hmm.
just to get out there and do your thing. That was a lot of it. And then he kind of gives me advice behind the scenes too about, different things I can do with my business, or different ways I can contract that I might not have thought of, or how to be, just how to think about things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Think broad, think big. Don't just think. You don't want to just be the guy that shows up and takes pictures when the project's done, because then you become a commodity, and you don't want that. But I think he's encouraged that thinking along the way, and that's been really helpful because, my business is capable of anything. It's not just what I'm doing today, but
Right.
as I look out further, there's things that I can do that I haven't even started yet, which is super exciting to me.
Do you have things in the works?
I do have things in the
Wow,
works.
that's awesome to hear. Because then maybe we could do a podcast from a year from now and be like, I don't want to tell you, but
Yeah.
this thing is popping off right now.
Count me in.
That's really cool. And is he New Mexico?
Yes.
Related?
Yeah.
Okay. He's from New Mexico is what I meant to say.
He's not from New Mexico, but he's spent a lot of time here.
Okay. So you met him here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I met him here originally through the Albuquerque Community Foundation, and we became friends through that.
Yeah. I guess in all of the resources that you've come across and your experiences that you've had, is there something that has taught you most about what you do?
Well, I think the power of networking is the most profound and the most powerful thing. Because, and one of my favorite parts of my job too is that I get to meet interesting people, and I get to go into businesses. I get to find out how they work. I get to find out where they started, how they built them, and I think that's an incredible thing. I'm curious. I think curiosity is my superpower, and when I'm in all kinds of different businesses, and week to week I'm in a few different businesses a week, and I'll ask the questions. How did you start? Was this your business? Was this your idea?
Yeah,
was
learning
this
from history kind of thing.
Yeah, and I always receive little snippets from that, and I have a whole notes app of things that I learned from people along the way that have kind of shaped me, and sometimes I'll just refer back to that and say, oh, this business leader taught me this, and I try to be a sponge that way.
Do you have any networking tips, tricks?
I have a great networking tip.
Do you?
So the best one I can come up with is, if all else fails, talk about food.
Huh.
And that has a couple of different benefits. One is you get to know about great food, which I love food.
Yeah, I think everybody likes food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have wonderful food here in the Southwest.
Yeah.
So I think, if a conversation stalls, you say, oh, well, I had these great birria tacos the other day. And they say, oh, where? And so you can either find great restaurants, you can find great recipes, you can kind of get to know somebody else on a more personal level. Because at networking events, it gets stale. You ask the same questions. Where are you
you're
from?
saying that's your gateway to get more personal.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes. But most of the same questions that you go up to and ask somebody, are you from here? Where'd you go to school? Where'd you go to high school?
See, it's almost like a web, and you can say food connects to this region, connects to...
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
And it's a good segue into other things. It kind of breaks down barriers, and you improve on your food game at the same time.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I feel like music is the same way.
Yeah.
That might be a little bit harder. That
That's
is a great idea.
And also, I think the important thing with networking too is to find out about the other person. It's not just you spouting off what you're good at and what you know and who you know and all that stuff. But I would rather know about the other person. I know about me.
You are, yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
But I think that's really helpful, and I love getting to know people. I'm an extrovert that way, and I think people fuel me.
Mm-hmm.
I like, I think they make my life better. Most people, even people I don't know yet. So I don't like the canned interactions.
Yeah. I guess I'd describe you as intensely curious.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put it on a business card.
Okay. You can put it in your little bio for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Intensely curious. Intense. It could be all capitals too.
I like it.
Do you have, this one's kind of more of a philosophical kind of thing, but do you have a favorite failure?
It's a hard question.
A favorite failure in the sense of something that taught you a whole lot that you didn't expect. A favorite failure in the sense that because you went through it, it helped you become a better architectural photographer, or something adjacent.
Yes, I have a few. And I've tried some business avenues that haven't all been successful. A couple of them fell flat, and I received really harsh feedback that I think did help me. And I'm going to keep it general, I think. For some of those, it was like being kicked in the face. Some of them, I thought that this was a great idea, and I either didn't have the skills to back it up, or I didn't have the skills yet to back it up. And so there's been a few different instances where I've had to have that kick in the face and then say, ooh, well, let's think harder about this, or maybe I should be a little more methodical about it the next time, or test this concept first.
The getting kicked in the face somehow, I don't know, something about that put my brain in. There was this podcast that I'm listening to, and he was talking about Jeff Bezos, and Jeff Bezos always chose confrontation over just comfortable discourse, because you're always going to learn something if you guys actually end up having that conversation of whatever you guys are disagreeing about.
Yeah.
And it's something about
brilliant.
getting kicked in the face. I was like,
Yeah.
that sounds really rough. Well, that sounds really rough at the same time.
Yeah. Another quote that kind of relates, that actually Charles taught me, and it's in my notes app,
Is it?
was don't be too thirsty.
Okay.
You can go out and try to conquer the world, do all the things. I was doing architectural photography. I have different enterprises as a part of this business. I have 3D scanning. I have job site cameras. I have time lapse cameras, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
All these different things, and I want to do a million things. But it's something about not being too thirsty and not trying to do all of them all at once until you have it really dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there. So it kind of gives you a little bit of pause.
Okay, I see what you mean. Initially, I thought is having hunger, like to kind of be able to pick up yourself by the bootstraps and grind through whatever it is. That's not what you're talking about by being too thirsty.
Right. I think it could relate to greed. It could relate to
Okay.
trying to do too many things at once.
Okay.
And not focus on getting really good at
Mm-hmm.
one or two of them. I've got it written on my vision board at home too.
Don't be too thirsty.
Yeah.
Because you can't go drink. Why? Okay, I can kind of see it now. Like, why would I go drink from all of these watering holes if I can fill myself up just by having this one in front of me?
That's a great way to say
Okay.
it.
I'm totally picking up what you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you have any long-term or short-term goals? You're kind of talking about something in the works, but
Yeah.
if you want to keep it in the works, I didn't sign an NDA before this.
I think a lot about my business direction and where I want to be in 5, 10, 15 years. And I want to keep up with industry trends, and I want to make sure that I'm giving my clients the biggest value that I can provide for them. And I think using my skill stack as an architect, I'm able to do different things other than just show up and take pretty pictures at the end. And the one thing that I've been pushing on a lot is the concept of digital twins and 3D scanning.
Okay.
So it's creating a digital representation of the 360 environment. So that would mean like virtual tours. That would mean being able to go in and scan a building to have that as a record for all time, like an as-built.
Mm-hmm.
And then, do different things with that. Maybe that's facilities maintenance. Maybe it's
Insurance purposes.
yeah. There's a lot of risk mitigation that could come out of that. So that's where my mind heads as far as things that I'm working on, because I just don't want to become a commodity and be out of business.
Right. I see what you mean.
So, yeah, I try to have a little bit of forethought with where I'm headed with the business and the value I'm bringing to my clients.
Yeah, you sound very intentional when you talk about things like this.
Yeah, I am, and I try to spend a certain amount of hours per week thinking about these things, or like writing down business plans, stuff like that to keep growing and keep improving.
Does that come second nature? Or do you have to structure out a piece of your time, of your week?
I do have to be intentional about it. I'll put it on my calendar. Everything goes on the calendar. Most little time blocks go on there.
Yeah.
And usually Fridays are the days that I do that. I try to just reflect on Fridays. Try not to work too hard on Fridays if I can help it.
That's when you work with your coworkers at home, the dogs?
Exactly. They're thankful for it.
There is a podcast called Millionaire Mindset, and I can't remember his name, but he is a phenomenal speaker, and he says, show me your calendar and I'll show you your priorities. And that's what that reminds me of. I mean,
totally. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It does come down to being intentional.
What's your favorite part about being an architectural photographer / entrepreneur /
I like being in control of my time. Is one of my very favorite parts. It's important to me to have a balanced life with both fun and work included. And so I think being in control of my time allows me to prioritize what I want to do in my life. If I want to take a week off and go vacation in Mexico, I just don't schedule anything for that week. Or if I want to work on certain side projects, I just dedicate the time, and nobody tells me that I can't.
Yeah. So that's a perk of owning your own business.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of things that come with just being a single person business. All the accounting and the prospecting and the finding new work and the doing the actual work that you agreed to, and to doing what you say you're going to do. It just falls on you. You don't have coworkers to back that up.
Yeah.
But I've built an ecosystem of people that I trust, like Ethan, and I have a few others that help me with different things that I'm not as good at as they are. So I'm able to delegate a few of these things, and I'd like to see that happen more and more over time as we're talking to future plans. I think this kind of ecosystem of people that I can help mentor along the way, they can help me do different things that I'm not as good at as they are, and I think it's important. It's a little bit of community building, the way that I see how to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I really like that. That puts a good vision in my head of the pros and cons of being an architectural photographer, but mostly a business owner.
I just want to commend you too for taking the time with me.
Oh yeah,
I think this is really cool. I think it's I think I'm lucky to have you in my orbit also. I think you're very motivated, and you're a curious person, and I think that the world needs more of you.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see that you're doing this, and I'm lucky to have you in my life too.
Thanks. Do you have any shameless plugs that you want to give out right now? Like any sponsors that...
I'm accepting sponsors.
You're expecting sponsors, okay. For your own personal brand or for your business, or...
Either one.
Okay.
So...
would you get a tattoo of Sprite if they called you up and said, hey, Matt, we want...
If the terms were right.
Okay.
Everything's for sale for a price. Yeah, I do have the tattoo, as you mentioned, which is... It's indicative of me. When I look down and I see it on my arm, I think about that was a leaping point for me, kind of a turning point in my life.
Yeah, let's get a better shot of it.
Hold that up here.
Yeah, that looks great.
So my symbol here I created probably about 12 years ago. So this is the Matt O. So it's the at symbol with the at around it, or the M with the at. So it's Matt O. So most people call me Matt O. So, but what this means to me is this means that this was a point where my life changed, and my priorities shifted to being in business for myself and taking control of my time. So as I look at that, that's what I think.
It's almost like a shift of a chapter in your life kind of thing.
Yeah.
Was it dramatic?
It was pretty dramatic.
It's not always a bad thing.
I shed tears.
Yeah.
When it happened.
Yeah.
Because it was a great job, and those people became my family over that long.
Yeah.
So it was tough for me to leave. But I knew in my heart that it was right.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that if I didn't do it, that I'd be in my 60s and 70s thinking, why didn't I try? Why didn't I push Matto Photo? Why didn't I do something bigger with this?
Gosh, that's so inspiring. Got to get a pillow of that and sleep on it every night.
As you know, everything in my life is branded. You know,
Okay.
from my phone case to hats to
Yeah,
to the merchandise lineup that I've got and give out.
it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's guerrilla marketing, and I'm so lucky that when I give out hats or shirts or things like that, that people support me and I find them wearing it, and it means so much to me.
Yeah, I still wear my hat on my runs.
I love it.
Yeah, it was so nice. I can't say it's as white as it was when you first gave it to me, but
That just means it's being used.
Yeah.
That's all. I'll give you another one when you wear that one out.
okay, that sounds good.
But your support means a lot to me.
Okay, maybe we'll get some podcast merch coming out.
Yeah.
And you can have a T-shirt of, I don't know, DJD, and people will be like, what is that? Well, let me tell you.
Here we go.
Alrighty. Thank you first, thank you, Matt, for being here today. This is awesome, and I'm the whole idea of this project is to get people. My target audience is specifically kids, probably coming out of high school, or younger adults coming out of college, even people that are making a career change, and them being able to dip their toes into what other people do and what their day-to-day life looks like, and think, maybe I do or don't want to do that with my life, and move directionally, and I think that's just so important. It's mostly because I've had those thoughts all the time, and everybody I'm around has also been plagued with, is this what I want to do? And I'm like, just find something you like and then move in that direction. And if this podcast at all can be like, architectural photographer, MMA fighter, dentist from blah blah blah,
Yeah.
if you can find something that you're interested in and move in that direction, then I know that this has brought some kind of value to somebody, and that's really what it's all about. So
Yeah, and I think that you'll find that the common core that runs through all of those is passion.
yeah,
People that like what they're doing, people that have figured out a way to get paid to do what they're enjoying.
yeah,
I think that's going to be key through all of these.
and that's such a big difference when it comes to the output of your work.
100%.
I have met some people in my career where they just wake up, do what they need to do,
Mhm.
and then go back home, and it is a paycheck. And not to say they don't do good work. Some of them do phenomenal work, but it's the 8 hours. That's where their brain is, just for that 8 hours. They don't go home, think about it, ponder about it. There's this cascading effect that happens when you really like what you do.
Yeah.
And I think you're the embodiment of that. When I first met you, you were like so intentional about listening to me and what I wanted to do, and the more I got to know about you, it was like, this guy is more than just a mentor. He actually really likes what he does, and that's probably why he gave me so much time for me to talk about myself. Yeah. In any ways, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure's mine. And to have me on your birthday.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Of course. I think this is fun. So thank you so much for tuning into Dream Job Dialogues, where we explore passions and journeys of remarkable individuals here in and out of New Mexico. We hope today's episode has inspired you and provided valuable insight into the diverse careers and stories within our communities. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts to stay updated with our latest pods. We would also love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out with your feedback, suggestions, or stories you'd like for us to feature. You can go to Garcia Isaac, that's GarciaIsaac.com, to get in contact with me. This is Isaac Garcia and Matt Oberer signing off. Stay passionate, stay curious, and stay tuned for more exciting episodes ahead. Catch you later.